Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and welcome to another edition of our Dailyish Devotionals. I am Pastor Brian. I thank you for joining me again today. 2 days in a row this week, so what a special treat, huh? Today we have a good chapter from Max's book, God Came Near. I was looking through some social media and found all these Zoom backgrounds from Star Wars, so you're going to be stuck with some Star Wars backgrounds for a while. This is me flying an X-Wing fighter with R2-D2 in the back. If you didn't know this, which would probably be the category of my wife, you need to watch more Star Wars movies. They're just good, wholesome fun. Great movies? After the first three, probably not. But the prequels and the sequels are entertainment, if nothing else. And of course, our daily pun, were you born in a barn? I don't think I've used that one before, but for some reason it's ringing a bell. And I know that's one of the pitfalls of being a pastor for a while in one location is that you start to repeat your stories. So I just ask that you bear with me as we maybe enter that season of our ministry together and just pretend like it's the first time you heard the story, if it's the third time you've heard it, and just tell me you were super inspired or you thought it was a great story, whatever might be most appropriate. Just humor me. As we begin our journey through Max's book here, his title is Out of the Carpentry Shop, is the title of his chapter today, and that picture on the right is one of my favorite pictures of Jesus. Now, Jesus with the little blonde, brown, curly hair and the fair white skin, and Joseph kind of the same way. Not accurate and not the greatest there. We have to look past that or excuse that, but the picture of baby Jesus on the floor and the cross is the shadow, playing with the three nails is the foreshadowing. I just like that picture, getting past the whiteness and depicted there. And then, of course, saying nothing we have done will ever be bigger or stronger than what Jesus did for us, which is true. But out of the carpentry shop, like I said, is the title of the chapter here, and Joseph paints a picture of Jesus leaving to begin his ministry. I think it's good for us to be reminded of the humanity of Jesus, of the struggles that he went through too. Because as we go through struggles and uncertain times, it's good to be reminded that Jesus has been there, done that. That mystery of being fully human and fully God. I don't know quite how that works, but if he was fully human, which I believe he was, then he did have to wrestle with those feelings of uncertainty and worry and hesitation. So Max points out, he paints a story this way. With a few strides, Jesus crossed the silent shop. He looked around, and he had sweet memories. He had come to say goodbye. It was time for him to leave. He had heard something that made him know it was time to go. So he came one last time to say goodbye to the sawdust and the lumber. Life was peaceful here. Life was so safe. He had spent countless hours with his father. As a toddler, playing on the dirt floors, his dad worked. As he grew up, Joseph teaching him how to use the tools on the workbench where he had built his first piece of furniture. I wonder what he thought as he took one last look around that room. I wonder if he hesitated. I wonder if his heart was torn. I wonder if he rolled a nail between his thumb and fingers, anticipating the pain. It was here that his human hands shaped the wood that his divine hands had created. And it was here that his body matured while his spirit waited for the right moment, the right day. And now that time had arrived. It had to have been difficult to leave. After all, life as a carpenter wasn't bad. His future was bright and his work was enjoyable. I wonder if he wanted to stay. I could do a good job here in Nazareth, settle down, raise a family, be a civic leader. I wonder because I know he had already read the last chapter. He knew that the feet that would step out of the safe shadow of their carpentry shop would not rest until they'd been pierced and placed on a Roman cross. You see, he didn't have to go. He had a choice. And had he chosen to stay, who would have known? Who would have blamed him? He could have come back as a man in another area when society wasn't so volatile, when religion wasn't so stale, when people would listen better. As an aside, I don't know if there is an era when people would have listened any better. There may have been a safer era for him to come, but people surely wouldn't have listened anymore. But his heart wouldn't let him. If there was hesitation on the part of his humanity, it was overcome by the compassion of his divinity. You can be sure of one thing. Among the voices that found their way into that carpentry shop in Nazareth was your voice. Your silent prayers uttered on tear-stained pillows were heard before they were said. Your deepest questions about death and eternity were answered before they were asked. Your direst need, your need for a Savior, was met before you ever sinned. And not only to hear you, he saw you. He saw your face aglow the hour you first knew him. He saw your face in shame the hour you first fell. The same face that looked back at you from this morning's mirror looked at him. He left because of you. It wasn't easy. Leaving the carpentry shop never is. Kind of mixed emotions when you think that Jesus left that shop because of us. He left one reason because of our sin. He left to bridge that gap between God and us, but he also left because he chose to love us. He loved us so much that he gave up that life. He loved us so much that he came to give himself up for us. And that is a very powerful message of hope. Jesus chose to do that for us. Even as we're in this time of uncertainty, this time of what seems like endless argument and nobody agrees on anything, even knowing all of this would come to pass, Jesus left that shop and ministered for us, and then eventually died for us. Sometimes when life gets real hectic and real crazy and uncertain and worry starts to creep in, it's kind of nice to take that step back and remember that Jesus chose for us to do what he did. Remember, he didn't have to, but he loved us enough to do it. And if Jesus can do it for us, if he can make that sacrifice for us, then us making a little sacrifice for him should be a little easier. And as we travel through those uncertain times, knowing that Jesus has been there, felt the uncertainty, the hesitation, the worry, the wonder what's next, being fully human, he knew all of that. So we have a Savior who's been there, done that, and chose to love us anyway. Let that message of hope carry you through today. I may not be on tomorrow. We'll have to see, but for sure I'll be back on Friday. We have our normal worship on Sundays, 10 a.m. in the church if you want to join us. Otherwise, it's on Facebook Live. And I hope you enjoy this, and we'll talk later.